Howdy, and welcome to Elementally Intuitive Movement on KidPass. We're now on week 4, level O, focusing on our spheres of attention, spheres of awareness. So we'll start out with our shimmy, warming up. Our feet as stationary spheres. Now that we know about the importance of the position of our feet and how lining them up with our knees helps to distribute the force as it enters our body, the ground reaction force. We know to line up our feet. That's a sphere of awareness. And keep in mind that if you have been used to having your feet splayed out or in, make it a slow transition to aligned with your knees. So that way it's not too quickly. When our bodies are used to providing support, whatever position it may be, out of alignment, if we push it too quickly into alignment, then we may experience imbalance or discomfort. So we want to very slowly, gradually bring our bodies into alignment if we've been operating out of alignment. So attention to our feet and the position that they're at, that's a sphere of awareness. Yes, yes. We're paying attention to that position. As we practice our level O, we're stationary spheres. So we can keep our base is planted. We'll shift position, shift orientation, so that way we get familiar with different maps of movement with our feet in the position that best support our knees. As that force carries up through our body, we're hinging at the hips. But as we hinge at the hips, that helps to support our spines. So that way the force that's entering our bodies is equally distributed through the vertebra, through the discs that are in between. The more even the compression, whether the force is coming from above or below, the less likely we are to experience imbalance or discomfort or dysfunction. Spheres of attention, our arms. Our arms are our guides. As we're doing level O, and we're getting to know our guides, which is our arms and our hands as a joined unit. Yes, how they feel as they're moving through space, how they're feeling as we do our wacky arms and shake them, that's a sphere of awareness. Adding in the shimmy, how it feels by paying attention to just our bodies or paying attention to just our arms, that's a sphere of awareness and attention. Putting it together, how does that feel? Comparing the difference in the sensation. That's spheres of attention, spheres of awareness, spheres of perception. That's what we're paying attention to, taking time to think about. And as we're doing our shimmy and our wacky arms, we're mobilizing, we're warming up our tissues. We're producing synovial fluid to lubricate our joints. We're warming up the ground substance, the interstitial fluid that's in between the tissues and in between everything. When we're slow, it gets, or rather not when we're slow, when we've been still for a long time, it gets stiff and sticky. So we want to move to increase the fluidity in our bodies. So that's what we're doing. But we're also thinking about how it feels. Spheres of awareness, level O. So we have our guides here. As we're following our guides have so many different positions that we can explore when it comes to how we're exploring our sphere, our near sphere, and the maps of movement that we're creating, whether we're following along vertical or horizontal, curvilinear, diagonal planes. There's so many variations and ways to explore. So that's a sphere of attention and a sphere of awareness that we can spend a lot of time in thinking about and exploring and having fun with. The expansion and contraction. Contracting into our centers, expanding out. When we contract into our centers, gravity has less of an effect, is less likely to destabilize us. As we expand out, our arms serve as levers, and gravity is now destabilizing us. The more slowly that we move, the more we have to fight against gravity to maintain that plane as we're moving through it. That's another sphere of awareness. Becoming aware of how it feels, recognizing how gravity is pulling us down, how it could be pulling us off balance, and how our body compensates for that imbalance through shifting. Checking in with our feet, ensuring that we're still providing good support to our knees. How does it feel? Breath is another sphere of awareness. Inhaling through our nostrils so that way they filter the air. Inhaling at a slow, steady pace, not only for filtration purposes, but also to allow the buildup of nitric oxide so that it reaches a concentration where it can better serve as the first line of defense against incoming bacteria. Pausing on the exhale helps to increase our carbon dioxide tolerance. The more carbon dioxide tolerant we are, the less breaths we take per minute. The less breaths we take per minute, the slower our heart rate is, lower blood pressure. We're more likely to be calm. Our nervous system is less likely to register distress and feel the need to protect us. And then the more resources we have available within our systems for self-reparation. And restoration. So that's another sphere of attention that we can pay attention to, the different things, the pace of our breath. Whether we're exhaling through our mouth or through our nostrils. Using our diaphragms with our inhales and exhales. Which brings us to the center. And everything with so much that we have going on in our centers, supporting our spines with these muscles. How these muscles support the movement of our arms and facilitate the movements of our arms, really make it possible for them to move, because the muscles that move the upper arm, the humerus, originate in the center. The same thing with our lower body, our femurs, our thighs here. We wouldn't be able to move our lower bodies without the connections, without the origin from the center. That's important. So when we move our lower bodies and maintain that constant motion and keep our arms in constant motion, we're working our centers as well as working our arms and legs. It's a multi-purpose movement. When we're following our arms with our whole bodies, we're twisting and turning. And when we're thinking about supporting our spines as we're doing these movements, we're more aware of how to protect and how to train our autopilots, how to move through space in a way that supports and protects our spines, in a way that supports and protects our knee joint mechanisms. Hinging. That hip hinge is important. That's another part of the center, really. It's part of what joins the lower, joins the base to the center. Through the center, we've got our vagal nerve that runs to the brain and sends communication back and forth. We know that we can support vagal nerve tone through humming, singing, laughing, and deep diaphragmatic breathing. So we can use our aim as an opportunity to practice all of those things if we want to. We can add any and all of them to our session, should we feel like it. So then that's another sphere of attention And it helps to increase our eustress training when we add it to our physical training practice. Our greater sphere, our greater environment, that's another sphere of awareness. Often we can't control what's going on in the greater environment. But what we can control is what is within our sphere and our center, our body, which is predominantly breath. And by keeping track of our breath, we do a lot to help support our bodies and our vessels, even in situations where we don't necessarily have control, and therefore we need to be even more in control of ourselves and vessels so that we make the choices that best serve us in that moment. I try to follow and choose the path that provides support, that supports me as well as supporting the other. So it's a win-win. Seek the win-win. When we seek the win-win, everybody wins. Because that's an option, that's a possibility. And since it is a possibility and an option, why not follow the route? Why not follow that path? I mean, if everybody wins, everybody wins. I like a situation where there's no losers. That's great. Spheres of awareness, spheres of attention. How we're interacting with the spheres around us, the other spheres, the other spaceships that are exploring their environments, their individual spheres, and how we interact with them. How do our choices and words affect them? How do our actions affect them? How do our thoughts, by the way that they change the way that we're processing the information that's coming in, and then it affects the output of our information as well. How does that affect the spheres around us? And what can we do to facilitate the process of easing communication? Spheres of awareness. And practice paying attention to just one sphere, because within each sphere there's all those other balls that we're juggling. And then rotate to all the other spheres and give time to thinking about each of those spheres. And then start juggling two. Thinking about two of them at the same time and how that feels. Add in another one. And then another and another and another. So we can spend a lot of time here with this foundation of our spheres of awareness. And what's lovely is that at this point, because we've been practicing the same level for 3 weeks, yes, so every day we've been practicing this level, and we were thinking about these other different spheres individually, and then adding on to it, adding it progressively. So now we've been practicing thinking about what we're doing as we're doing it. At this level, this foundation, we're really like putting it all together and taking that time to think about it, and then taking that time to think about it, allowing our bodies to go more into autopilot as we're moving, so that we can better trust our bodies on autopilot and recognize that we can trust our bodies on autopilot as our minds are distracted thinking about other things on different levels. Because part of what we're practicing with AIM is training our autopilots. Yes, yes. And remember, you don't have to do what I'm doing or move the way that I'm moving. What I'm doing is just showing you a way that works for me. Every body is different. Some of our moves may look similar because we share biomechanical makeup and we are restricted by the boundaries of physics. So we're all sharing that consensus reality that how physics affects us. So there will be similarities. There'll be some things that you can do and emulate. And then there'll be things that you'll do that'll be just all you. And that's great. I want you to explore your space and your sphere in the way that you feel inclined to do, because that's part of what you're practicing, is going your own way within your space, containing your chaos within your sphere, exploring change, adapting to it in your own way, in the way that you best prefer to do for you. Another sphere of attention and awareness is thinking about how this aim practice, how what we've been practicing, how these different spheres of attention that we're paying attention to as we practice aim help us in our daily lives as we're navigating through our worlds and our daily existence. Recognizing how our bodies function best so that we can provide them the best support, I think it's easier when with that understanding. And when we think about it and really recognize the benefits on multiple levels of our practice, we may be more inclined to continue our practice. And that helps to support it. So ultimately, the main goal of aim is to mobilize our bodies, to warm up our joints, to warm up our muscles, and to remind our vessels that they can move through space in a variety of ways. As we're practicing it, though, we can take it as an opportunity to build upon the levels of support that we provide our bodies. I like to practice without music so that I can better tune into my environment and what I'm feeling. The information coming in from my feet, the information coming in from my hands and arms, my hips, my knees. I can better pay attention to my environment. And really appreciate these different spheres of awareness that we get to explore, that we get to enjoy, that we get to experience, because we have human bodies with the nervous systems that get to process it. Getting to process it is pretty neat. Practicing processing it assists us in the process of processing more. Our next level is adaptation. That's in our next foundation. We'll still be doing level O, but we'll be thinking about adaptation and the ways that this practice assists us in adapting to change. And then after that, we have intuitive integration. And intuitive integration, we do get to have music. Because we've been practicing this now for 6 weeks. So we can trust that our bodies know what to do, that they know that they can, how to be in tune, how to pay attention to all these different spheres of attention and awareness. And on top of that, we've learned to trust our bodies to move through space in a way that supports us so that we can put on some music and get lost in the music if we want to. And trust that our autopilots will move us through space effectively and mobilize us as we do. And perhaps we can enjoy and appreciate the music on another level because of that. Maybe we start to notice how the music syncs up with random things that are happening in our environment. Maybe. Or not. But when we do, it's fun. Just for kicks, to notice. Our brains give us a reward when we notice those things. Sometimes, for some of us. Some more than others. Learning to cultivate that without taking it too seriously, I think is beneficial for us, because I see that as a way of helping to support our body's self-repair placebo response. I don't know for sure, but I may as well practice it, because it does benefit me in other ways, and that could be a potential side effect. And since it's already helping me in so many other ways, I may as well open myself to the possibility that it could help me in that way as well. All right, so here we are with our level O. So we are getting to know our guides, our hands, laying down these new maps of motion, thinking about our different spheres of attention and perception, remembering to move slowly, because the more slowly we move, the more time we have to think about these different things, and the more we're challenging ourselves by having gravity challenge us against holding those planes, maintaining those planes of motion steady that we're moving through. And to finish out, we're going to do some visualizing and some toning, just some humming. And you can hum along with me, hum at your own pace, or laugh, or however you want to visualize. You do you. This is how I'm going to finish out today. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time for week 5, adaptation, elementally intuitive movement. This is Mar. I hope that you're enjoying this process. I welcome your feedback. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I look forward to hearing back from you. Bye.